SegaBits presents Sega Talk, a podcast talking all things Sega, with your hosts, George and Barry.
Look, it's a giant talking egg. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the master here. So what?
Hello and welcome to Sega Talk, episode 40. I'm Barry. With me is
Hello,
George.
everybody.
And today we're going to be talking... Oh, wait, what's this?
What?
This just in. We have a...
Right now?
We have... So we got an email from a mom.
Uh-oh.
And she wanted us to give a shout out. I don't know how much she wants us to say, so I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to embarrass anyone. But basically, her son Reed, he listens to this show. She says he's 11, and he's listened to each episode 5 times. So and I told George that before we recorded, and he's like, "Why? Who would listen? Who would listen to us?" But you know, there's people out there that like the sounds of our voices and the weird things we say. I'll be honest. The first thing I thought was like, how much do we swear on this show? Because I forget that this goes out to people. You know, kids these days they know bad words. They're cool.
I hope so. I hope it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. But maybe skip the Yakuza episode once we get to it.
Yeah, definitely skip the Yakuza episode.
But no, you know, I'm not going to get too much into the email, but she did say that he likes Jet Set Radio. I love Jet Set Radio, so that's very cool. Glad you're playing that, and keep it up, because who knows, in 10 years, we might be looking for new writers, and we're like Willy Wonka will be like, come and write for us. You can live in our house and write about Sega.
So maybe I'll change his.
But thanks for
maybe
listening.
I'll change his mind on Vector Man. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So so again, Reed, thanks for listening, and let's get into this. I'm excited for this episode.
So in this episode, I wrote the notes, so I'll be the host of this one. We're gonna be talking about a manly man, a idol, Japanese idol, Sega Saturn marketing expert. This man right here made Sega what Sega is in Japan. We're talking about SEGATA SANSHIRO. And usually when we do one of these episodes, we usually kind of talk about a video game or a console. But this time we're talking about a marketing movement, a revolution. This is what set Japan down a course of success. Not just the Sega Saturn, but the whole nation of Japan. All right, so let's open this episode up the way we always do. Let's talk about our history with the Sega Sanshiro ads. And I know that they aren't obviously American ads. These are Japanese ads. So obviously we were in there day one as little kids enjoying these ads, right, Barry? Tell me when you heard about these ads.
I'd have to say probably the early 2000s. I'm pretty sure that like Dreamcast magazine, the official one, like sprinkled in little tidbits about him, like talking about Sega past. So you'd see pictures, you'd see mentions. They might do little fun facts. So maybe I did read about him around, you know, like 99, 2000. But it wasn't really until I think like fan sites started posting these little MPEG commercials, and then YouTube started uploading mega cuts that I really understood what was going on. It was kind of like how I'd hear about Eggman and I'd hear about the Japanese Sonic, but I'd only get little tidbits. So in my head, I'd put together something that did not match what the final product was. And I think with SEGATA, I didn't really know what he was promoting. I guess he's like doing commercials, but I didn't really know what for. But honestly, like I love him. Like the idea behind it is just it's awesome.
It's pretty insane.
And the execution, it's insane, but it's one of those rare times where I think like crazy Japanese commercials actually has overseas appeal.
Yeah.
And I think, well, this probably would not go well in the 90s when this was going on, like in America. I think now that they brought his son back, they are kind of missing out on bringing it over here because, you know, people love Yakuza, people love the Puyo Puyo games. There's a big Japanese fan base here. So why not, start giving us some SEGATA love in the year 2020? We need it.
I totally agree with that. The first time was actually the same thing that you said. Those weird little like MPEG videos, because back then we didn't really have like a YouTube website. So people would post it.
Yeah.
The first one I ever saw was the one I always remember it because it was so bizarre. I'm like, why is this like a thing? And it was the one where he's playing baseball and he kicks the baseball with his foot. And then like it goes and it's like fire. That's the first one I ever saw. And I didn't really understand it. And then I saw the Sonic R one, and that's when I was like, oh, this is a Sega thing. Okay, this is why they're posting it on the retro forum. I didn't really get it. Because like when you saw the MPEG, sometimes it wouldn't be the full commercial. It would just be the most absurd scene of the commercial. Because I guess most people already understood the context. I didn't at the time.
And he didn't like sneak in at all. Like, I mentioned Eggman. You'd see Eggman's name like on the pixel backgrounds in Sonic 2. But like with SEGATA, there weren't really any times where he slipped through the localization and appeared that I can think of. Closest I can imagine is Sonic Jam with the commercials, but I don't think they had any SEGATA ads because that was from the Saturn era, so there wouldn't be any commercials to put on there. So yeah, it's a shame that we learned about him so late. We basically learned about him after he died. Not the actor, but the character.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So for people that are just tuning in and they're like, "I've never heard of this Japanese man. Who is he? Why is he smiling at me in the picture in the bottom right here?" Can you explain to our fellow listeners what SEGATA SANSHIRO is and what he stands for as a man?
Just off the top of my head, or should I read the notes here?
Just at the top of your head.
He embodies... I feel like he embodies the most hardcore Sega loyalist who believes that the only thing you must be doing is playing the current Sega console. You should only be playing the best Sega games. And, he's like very aggressive, but he loves those who follows his teachings, really. So there's just this really, there's this weird warmth there, because you watch the commercials and he just seems angry, aggressive, and forceful. But as a Sega fan, you're watching it and you're like, these fools that are not listening to him, they deserve what's coming to them. And me, if he were to come to me and like rip off a Santa mask at Christmas and hand me a Sega Saturn, I'd thank him, I'd bow to him, I'd thank him, and I'd go play it until I couldn't play anymore. And so it's this weird like sadomasochistic sort of relationship there,
Yeah.
where you're like, it's like
he's basically what in Japan they want, like a tough, disciplined father figure, but in a marketing the Sega Saturn way. Like he comes in, he beats you up. But this father doesn't want you to be doing your math homework. He wants you to be playing Sega Saturn.
It's like that meme, but it's George. It's 4 p.m. Time to play your Sega Saturn. Yes, honey.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah. So, if you start looking into the character, you start noticing that this whole creation of it was based on a play of words, because it's actually based on it's a play of words on a film by 1943 by Akira Kurosawa called SANSHIRO SUGATA. I've watched some of his films, not this film. This is his main debut film. I'll go into what the movie's about, but have you seen this movie?
I haven't, no. I've seen a few Kurosawa movies when I was in art school, but I haven't really seen many since. I believe I saw Hidden Fortress and...
Seven Samurai, probably?
Yeah, Seven Samurai, and I'm sure he did some Jackie Chan films. No, I'm just kidding. But I probably watched more Jackie Chan films at the time than Kurosawa. But still, they were good. I thought they were great. I think it's really funny that it's actually a play on words, though. They were doing that a lot at the time at Sega. All the Puyo Puyo games are like puns. So I could see them being really in that mindset at that time where they're like, Sanshiro Sugata? Segata-san? And the same thing with, I mean, we'll get into it, but his son, too, there's wordplay there,
yes,
too.
there
so,
is. And
yeah.
so that film was actually based on a real life Japanese like karate or judo figure from 1866 called Sega Shiro. So that's based on a person, based on another person, which it's just kind of like this character is living on as a joke, I guess now, as a marketing joke in Japan. The movie SANSHIRO Sugata follows a youthful and talented Sanshiro who wants to become a judo master. The movie follows him going to like martial arts schools and figuring out which of these judo schools is worthy of his physical attributes to become a student. He finally finds one where he finds out that his physical prowess isn't everything, that he has to learn about, self-control and poise. And then he becomes the leading person in that school. At the same time, the police force is trying to find the martial arts schools to like the best one to train their police force, and it becomes two schools. One's a jiu-jitsu school, and then his school. So first of all, they chose the actor, right, for Segata Sanshiro because he supposedly looked like the main actor of the movie. So here he is. See, this is the young buck right here.
Okay.
Does he look that young to you, Barry? This young buck?
Not
no,
really.
I know. So this guy, basically, this young buck, decides to take over schools. He's like in our age, so he's in his 30s, obviously, the actor. So they chose what's his name? Man, I have it in my notes, everything, and I don't even know. But anyway, they chose the actor to play Segata Sanshiro because he looked like him. And I don't think he looks that much like him, to be honest with you. But that's why they chose him. So in the movie, he fights a jiu-jitsu master so they can show the police, like, man, check this out, dude. I'm the best. Judo is the best. You should be learning judo. Guess what? So it starts off rough, obviously, like all our heroes. He's losing. And then he just goes all out and starts destroying this man. They say in the description of the movie that he caused eternal injuries. And this is the end right here. This is the end. He's just like destroyed on the floor. That's it. But after this, they become friends. He meets the master's daughter, and guess what he does? Guess.
What?
Well, what do you think? Starts dating her. I mean, that's the only obvious thing.
Oh, well, yeah,
After you
of course.
pummeled his dad, you got to start dating his daughter. And I guess another jiu-jitsu master or student of his gets angry because he wanted to date her, and he's not a Chad like our boy here. So they fight to the death in the end of the movie. I'm not going to spoil it for you. You guys can go watch it. Does he prevail? Does he keep the girl? Or does he just sacrifice himself as a, I guess, victim, right?
Yeah.
So what is, I mean, do you see the similarities here between the character that became Segata Sanshiro, or you think it was just because it was a popular movie they decided, hey, these two things kind of sound alike. Let's use this character and make him super over the top.
Yeah, I mean, by and large, it's just, the outfit, the name. I guess they do play up the lovey-doveyness in some of the commercials with the Sakura Wars girl.
Yeah, it's true.
Who might be his son's mother.
Yeah, that's what that's true.
That's what people are saying. A lot of people
they
are
both
saying
came back at the same time, dude. A lot of people are saying that it just makes sense,
Yeah, absolutely. So I see some connections, but it's pretty loose,
So what's his name? I had his name right here, and I don't know why, but it went away. So here's our boy, that main actor. Do you remember his name? The actor that plays Segata Sanshiro?
Well, we're talking about him.
I know
the next hour.
exactly.
It's Hiroshi Fujioka. Hiroshi Fujioka.
He is obviously known because he was in Kamen Rider. I've never seen Kamen Rider. Or have you ever seen Kamen Rider?
I've seen clips of it. I've never seen the whole thing though. But from what I remember,
it's kind of like Super Sentai,
it was,
right?
Yeah,
Power Rangers.
yeah, pretty much. And
Yeah, and
it's-
he's actually
it's
he also
interesting.
died in Kamen Riders, I heard, and then they had to bring him back because he's so popular, and he's still strutting his
Oh,
stuff
really?
in the show. Apparently, he was there a few years ago. I'm not sure if he's in the current Kamen Rider, but here he is, young
Mm-hmm.
in his debut. Before he became SEGATA SANSHIRO, before he learned the will of the Saturn. This is before video games were a thing. Obviously, look how happy he was, determined but happy.
Yeah.
So after that, so let's talk about the launch of SEGATA SANSHIRO and all the things that came with it. The SEGATA SANSHIRO commercials didn't start until 2 years after the Sega Saturn launch in Japan. They started the ads during the summer of 1997. During this time, the console was a moderate success in the region. Sega hired, obviously, Kamen Rider actor. And he was already I guess, a martial arts master. He actually knew it. It wasn't just a gimmick. But that he was who he was, right? They picked him because he had some knowledge of karate. And the gimmick was a joke that it was obvious to Japanese viewers at the time. They already knew what they were... I mean, they all knew it was a joke. I guess some of us here, we didn't. But it was a play on words. Obviously, SEGATA SANSHIRO sounded similar to his catchphrase, play Sega Saturn, or Sega Saturn Shiro.
Right.
And also, he had another one that was Sega Saturn Shiro, but it meant Sega Saturn White, because they were launching the white Sega Saturn, as you know, in Japan.
Oh, yeah. I have that
of course.
one.
And they had the gray one before that, and then they launched the white one during this time. And here,
White one's better.
you think so? I like the gray one, but
Yeah.
I guess I don't want to fight you here. They're both beautiful consoles. They're both beautiful. They're the best. Everybody knows it. As
Okay.
as far as input from the actor, according to the UK magazine Games TM, he said he didn't give any input or ideas for the character, stating, "I thought it was good that they wanted to send a message to children in an age when young people had no direction." And this is is
Wow.
actually like common in Japanese, older Japanese men. I mean, I'm not trying to say anything negative about him, but like Nagashi, the guy that does the Yakuza games, said that the reason he made him so, I guess, like, you know, Kazuma's kind of a heart of gold. He's tough, he's manly, but he's a tough of gold, so kind of like SEGATA SANSHIRO. And he said it's because he also thinks that kids need to be taught a lesson. So they both think the same way. Kind of weird, right? I guess it's just Japanese way of thinking. While it's a play on words and being based in Japan, in a Japanese film, that's why all these things right here, like the play on words and the movie, we might not really get it in the West. But you think that the character would still be popular just based on the metrics of his character, and not even knowing the whole like Japanese, this is slang to play Sega Saturn or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think I don't think it would be needed for him to become relatively popular in America. Would it have been a good idea to make him the American Saturn mascot too? Probably a bad idea. I think Sonic should have been the American Saturn mascot, but then again, they needed Sonic games. They didn't really have that. So it was like Bug or Knights.
Yeah,
you know,
you're right.
Or Sonic. And I don't think any of those really succeeded. So it's kind of weird to think then that perhaps SEGATA did have a chance if he was the American mascot too, because what they had really didn't take off.
They didn't really have much, and I'm thinking maybe we could have had a American version of this, but what would that be? Like a cowboy that punches people in the face and makes them play Sega Saturn?
Well,
Chuck Norris?
What was the Japanese? So there was a Nintendo commercial where it was in America, but it was Japanese men coming door to door. Remember that? And they were presenting the Nintendo console.
Yeah.
Do you remember those
The Wii.
commercials? And they'd bow. Yeah. Like, we would like to play. And so it was really playing up to this kind of like notion of the other, or men from the East bringing their crazy technology over and embracing it. Kind of like, Back to the Future, when he's like, oh, here's your problem. It was made in Japan. And he goes, oh, Doc, some of the best stuff's made in Japan. So it was clear that, in the 80s and 90s, and even, up to today, I think there's been a huge resurgence in not only the trust of Japanese products, but like kind of a wonder about it. You go to Benihana, and obviously that's not real Japanese food. People go there and they're like, oh wow, they're making Japanese food. Look, I'm using chopsticks. And the guy who cooks your food is typically named like Raul.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I've never had a Japanese guy make my food at a Japanese steakhouse. They've always been a white guy or a Hispanic guy.
Yeah, and so, like you said, I think the problem, too, was that the American marketing was so bad for the Sega Saturn that, like, even somebody just speaking Japanese and beating up Japanese kids kind of seems like a better idea, right?
Like, they could have filmed a few special ones for America where they show him in Japan, like, just walking into the ocean, walking underwater, and then coming up to the shores with the Sega Saturn and just forcing Americans to play it.
Yeah.
And I think people would really find that to be kind of funny, interesting ad campaign where this guy just comes from Japan. The only thing he can tell them is to play Sega Saturn. I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be cool.
Well, I always thought when I first read about this that he was a common writer, television, right? And then he became a TV advertisement guy. I thought that maybe he wasn't going to like that job, right? Like kind of a D grade, going from like leading a show for kids to just a smart marketing spokesperson. But according to him, he actually took this job very seriously. He said that according to him, that like this is pretty important for Japan, and he thought he was putting a positive message out there for the world. So I don't know. What do you think? You think that this is just part of Japanese work ethic compared to America, where we take a job here, we're like, all right, we got the job done, now I go home and be normal. But these guys like go over the top. Or do you think it's like Hollywood? I
think marketing campaign spokesmen are actually very respected over in Japan. There's this whole thing, I have a book about it and I forgot what the term is, but it's basically you create like a personification of a product. And so if you've ever been to a Japanese market and go to the cleaning section or something, you'll see sponges, and then the sponge mascot will be the sponge you're looking at but with a happy face. And that's just like a thing. Like everything has its own mascot. And so I think to become one of these is kind of seen as an honor. I mean, maybe I'm making this up, but you just think of all these American actors who go over there and they get these gigs that pay so much money just to do these line of commercials. I mean, George Lucas promoted TVs over there, or cameras. I know Harrison Ford did beer commercials. And then, of course, there was the movie that kind of made fun of it with our friend Lisa Wilkerson was in Lost in Translation, where Bill Murray's doing the liqueur ads. And so I think it's seen much differently over there than it is here. I think over there, it's not like, oh, my God, Ronald McDonald, I want to punch him in the face. It's more like, I mean, look at how they love Colonel Sanders over there.
Oh, that's true.
They love him.
And they're trying to change that over here, too. They're trying to do this whole thing where they're making video games of him. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. I actually saw a video a few days ago from Vic Berger of Colonel Sanders, the real one, talking about passing a polyp. So he was just a normal guy having medical problems, but he made chicken, I guess. So
he's yeah. What's up with your window? Okay, here we go. So let's talk about the ads, right? This is why we're all here, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
I got this. Obviously, somebody put the Saturn Memories put the compilation up. So if you want to check out their channel, and I'll fix Barry's window over here. All right. So we're gonna watch the first one, and then I'll pause it. We'll talk about what we just saw. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So here we go.
Yeah.
野球しようぜ。
オッケー。
行こう行こう。お前ら今日はやったよ。
任しとけ。
So this is the first
Yeah,
one
this is the first one.
that they've ever done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right away.
I love the technique of putting the light on the eyes.
Yeah.
That's great.
I really and then like the music for Sonic R is so beautiful. Like it's just like all the uplifting. This is it. This is the end of the. This is cool.
Yeah.
So, what is your thoughts on the first commercial that we see of SEGATA and SANSHIRO as a man? Like, first thing he does is beat up kids. Is that us, like, our childhood being killed off?
I think it's funny. I think the fact that he then dumped a Saturn there for them to keep and play is also funny because it's a great way to show the console, but also kind of show the story of him walking away, continuing on. He's kind of like the Energizer Bunny, where he just keeps going and going from place to place, beating people up and forcing them to play the Saturn.
Beautiful. I actually like the commercial. I like the way they shot it super fast, like the little shots of just them getting slammed, and then he's like just like grabbing the guy in the headlock. That was beautiful. Very well shot commercial. This is my favorite commercial out of all of them because you see all these things happen in the streets, and then it just goes to like supersonic racing song, and it's like, all right, cool. Let's go to the second one. Would this make you want to buy Sega Sonic R now?
I don't know about that. I don't know if it would sell me on the game. That's the only problem. It doesn't really promote the game so much as it promotes
the brand,
the console, the brand. Yeah.
So the next one. Oh no, this is gonna end badly.
I like this one.
I like how everybody knows who he is, so it's like cool. Boom.
I like his
women, man, women, doesn't matter, dude. If anything, it's better off. Dude, this game looks sick, dude. I would play this game, Shining Force 3. So, what's your opinion on this commercial where he just takes out a whole nightclub of people? It's like he's slowly getting older victims, right?
Well, they shouldn't have been out in a nightclub. They should have been home playing their Sega Saturn.
And that's the problem, really.
Yeah, I see no connection though to Shining Force at all.
No, like you think they would be like LARPing or something like. I feel like they shot the commercial and they're like, let's put Shining Force 3 in the end of this one. All right, then that works out. All right.
Right, that's why I like the later ones in this because they start to connect the two, so you get like Bomberman references, you get Sakura Tyson references, so that's why I kind of think it's a missed opportunity you didn't get like a Sonic reference. You know what I mean? Yeah,
like maybe, I don't know what they could have done with the racing one, but this one, I mean, I don't know, it's probably hard too to like put a reference to Shining Force, but like a nightclub is definitely not Shining Force 3, but let's go to the next one and see what's up. Oh, okay, this one, when he fights himself, dude. The worst, explosion.
Yeah.
Oh, this is...
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that's sick. I mean, that's part of his superpower is that when enemies fall, they explode. And they're all quick cut, too. It's like Sega just put out a bunch of small ads, right? Like, just hit the airways quick. But what do you think about... So that Bomberman one is your favorite out of all of them?
No, I think it's the most like GIF worthy. You know, you can just clip that little part out where he tosses the guy, and I love the shot of the guy flying through the air. And he's
yeah, it's really well shot. I love that the explosions. It's just over the top 90s or 80s action movies, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, this one is iconic, right?
Yeah, I think this is the best one.
Yeah, and they have a behind the scenes video where they shot this with the kids and stuff. It's pretty good.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Like how they shot all these shots.
I love how they're just bothering. Give me this, give me this, give me this.
Boom.
Oh no.
I wonder how many kids from Japan remember this commercial during the holidays before they got their Sega Saturn.
And they were happy too. He didn't beat them up because they played. See what I mean? They played with it immediately. They didn't get put in a headlock.
And that's, I think, what the problem with a lot of today's youth is, right? They just do not understand to just play Sega Saturn. So hopefully they figure it out. Again? Oh, this is like a different cut of it. Yeah.
That's fine. We can play through this one, go to the next one too.
Yeah.
Just keep it going.
Give me an RC play. I want a stuffed animal, dude. Dude.
See what's different about it.
I've never met a kid that wanted a stuffed animal. Did you ever want a stuffed animal as a kid? Oh,
I wanted like a puppet maybe, but
It's a little longer. They have a little bit more of the face shots of the kids getting scared.
yeah, because when you're doing ads, there's typically a 60, a 30, a 15.
Oh, this is a new one right here. The one where he's training this on the Sega Saturn. This is a pretty.
This is the theme song.
Yeah,
one,
this is the
right?
theme song one, and this is the one where you'll see he actually hit the thing and broke those bricks. Did you know that?
Wow.
100% real, dude. This is what a real man's like.
I believe it.
Puts his heart and soul into it. It is real. He really hit a Saturn control. I can believe that.
Yeah.
To promote Sal, and
great.
then like they clip other commercials from the past.
Mm-hmm.
Great games. Look at those beautiful graphics. Nice and blocky.
That's great. I love that jump kick.
Oh yeah, they probably took a bunch of shots of it. Let's see the
Yeah.
next one we got. Oh, it's the same one but a different cut. That's the problem with a lot of these commercials. They did so many cuts of them. But hard training, dude.
This might be the longer one.
Yeah, the longer one. Yeah. What do you think about the oversized Sega Saturn and that he trains with it every day to become the man that he became?
I want that giant pad. I think they should sell ones that are like that big.
That like workout?
You know, for like 150 bucks, and it hooks up to your real Saturn.
That'd be.
I would buy that.
Didn't they have some of those? Oh, this is his training. This is the one that he actually broke these things. So
Yeah, let's do it.
check it out. Yep, he actually broke this with his head, dude. Nothing. Like
Wow.
nothing.
That's great.
I never heard of this game. Have you played it? That he was promoting?
Never. I've never even. Yeah, Solo Crisis. I think what he was doing is probably more fun than that game. No offense.
Yeah, I know, and it's part of the mini games, right? Oh, this is the weirdest one in my opinion. What? Okay.
So he's doing like a kabuki, or not kabuki. What's the like a no theater kind of performance. It's weird though because it's like for the biggest game out of all of these, like in terms of just importance to Saturn and epicness, and it's just him doing a little dragon
In
dance.
his backyard.
I don't know, but
Like real quick.
I don't know how I feel about that one. I like when he's sticking to the formula of like beating people up or training. That one was more just like why would he do that? You know what I mean?
I have no idea. It's like they saw the word dragon. They're dragon. All right, cool. Let's do this dance real quick, and then that's it. That's a commercial.
Yeah.
No good. All right,
I love this one.
dude. Of course we know he's gonna win, dude. Like nothing.
He's running. He's not even using skates.
That's a good one right there. You know that sells the game. Winter Heat.
I haven't played that. That looks good.
It does look actually pretty good, right? I guess he sold us on one game, but that's a good ad because you literally see him perform whatever's happening in the game in real life, and he's better than the actual professionals. Sorry, when you play Sega Saturn, you're just better than everybody. Oh, you know this one?
Yep. This is a good
Yeah,
one.
this is a good one too. It's life-saving.
Life saving.
Yeah, $250 game, dude.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know about the fireman one. What's your thoughts on that commercial?
I feel like he was saving their life so they could live to play Sega Saturn.
You
So,
think that he wouldn't have saved their lives
like that.
if it wasn't Sega Saturn?
Well, I think if he went in and saw like a PlayStation hooked up, he'd just leave.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the first one I ever saw.
I like this
Yeah.
one too. Kicks it.
This part, he's like how happy he is, dude. I've never seen a man that's so happy in my life. And this game looks actually really good graphically. Yeah,
That's a good
I mean,
one,
I would
too.
never play a baseball game, but that's pretty sick commercial.
That looks sweet. I like that one.
Oh, the House of the Dead.
This is a good one
this is
too.
good, too.
I like how it's actually like within the game's universe,
Scared face.
and he can't stop them. They keep.
Finally met his match, dude.
What happens?
Oh, we have to save him. We have to play the game.
That's just like the first time he
Yeah,
lost.
so House of the Dead is the first time in an ad that he looked, like he couldn't handle himself. So I don't know. I think we're gonna have to, I don't know, play the game now to save him. Oh, this is the same one where. Oh god, he's multiplying. Like, what is this? This is bizarre.
Yeah. So this one's very specific to the game
Yeah.
that it's
Dragon
promoting
Force.
there. So Dragon Force, yeah, it's like you oversee a legion of. It's like the same sprite. Yeah. I
Yeah,
get it.
and like they're making fun of it in the commercial by copying SEGATA SANSHIRO. Somebody, how many times do you think they had to shoot him on the green screen for that one?
I bet they just had him do it like a dozen times and then sprinkled it throughout, maybe.
Let's see the next one. Oh, playing soccer. I've never seen this one actually. Oh, I mean,
Oh, I've seen that one.
that's how you win.
That doesn't work that way.
I know he doesn't. Dude, imagine if you had what? I like in the end.
Oh, he got.
Yeah, they get him.
He did get a
Yeah.
card, so yeah.
That's pretty funny.
I like how he was like,
Again, the same. Oh, different version.
this one's one of my favorites. He throws-
Best coach ever,
He's
dude.
got the glass. Got the glasses.
It's crazy how many of these like soccer games are released in Japan that we never get here, and they're like pretty like large for Sega. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the first Love commercial. They're showing us that he has like a sensitive side, you know?
Mm.
This is beautiful. This is. We should have watched this on Valentine's Day.
It's a good one.
Yeah, this is actually a good one for Sakurai. And like now, Sakurai Wars is back, and so is this brand is back too, right? I
Yeah.
think it's not a coincidence. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence, but whatever. We'll see. Oh, and it's another take of the same commercial. Whatever, dude. I mean, do you think that SEGATA SANSHIRO is kind of like out of her league, though?
No,
You don't think so? You think they're like on par with each other? Power couple?
I think he's out of her. He's out of her
Okay,
league.
that's what I was thinking too. But I mean, whatever, dude. I mean, when you're SEGATA SANSHIRO, you have to like put your standards down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see the next one. Oh. Oh.
God.
This is morbid, dude. King of the Sea. Fear?
Oh, is it?
Deep Fear.
What's this game?
Deep Fear.
Deep Fear. Yeah, yeah.
I can't believe they had ads for that. Like, I've never heard anybody talk about this game outside of like a few Sega tubers, right? So
It's a good
yeah,
game.
it's a good game. It's just weird. I never saw ads for it. Oh, who do you want to be, dude? The smart one? I want to be obviously crazy.
Yeah.
He gets the most, right?
These are weird.
Yeah, this is a weird one.
I think they're getting weirder.
It's almost to the end, I think, of him sacrificing himself, so they just get really weird. And I've never heard of this game either. Emergency news bulletin. Oh no, this is old footage.
Is this the last one?
No, this is old footage though. It's weird. This is like. I think we're getting close to the last one. I'll just put it on the last one because these are repeated footage. This is the last commercial.
Okay.
Obviously, we all know, right? The Dreamcast launch one.
Right.
Look at this guy.
Yeah. So that guy's like Sony.
Yeah.
Going to kill him, and he's up on. Yeah. This one's pop.
This is the best one.
I can't watch this one because it makes me sad.
Don't cry, dude. He sacrificed himself for us, dude.
But he's still out there riding that rocket, I'd like to think. I don't think he died. with it.
Obviously, we have proof in Cameos that we're going to talk about next that he didn't die right here. So be
Good.
vigilant. Look at this. You must play Sega Saturn.
There he goes.
That's all he could say to himself, dude. Our boy's trapped. Look how sad this commercial is and how over the top he will live forever in our hearts. Now buy the game, please.
Sega Saturn.
Yep. Let me just look at that image again right there, dude. Look at this thing right here. Tell me that isn't beautiful, dude.
That's our boy.
So that is the ads, the best ads we've ever seen, correct? So
Pretty much.
which one do you think is the worst ad, and which one do you think is the best ad?
I think the worst one would probably be the one with like the little faces in the grid. I think that one's really boring. I think the best ad would have to be the one where he picks up the guy off the bench and throws him so he can hit the soccer ball. I think that's the most creative one. But the Christmas one's funny too. There's a lot of really great ones in there. I think the ones that I rarely see are the boring ones or the weird ones.
Yeah, the weird ones, like the soccer one, the baseball sports one. Anything where he hits a kid is awesome. So I'm all for those. There was obviously also a video game, as you saw the last ad. It was basically a big commercial for the video game. So he was so popular at the time that he, after he got his own mini game, video game. Let's look at the game right here. You can see some screenshots on the side if you're if you're watching it on YouTube.
I have mine.
So you know more about this game than I do because you actually played it. I've never played the game. I never wanted to play it. I've heard people talk so negatively about it. So what do you think about the game? Give people a rundown on the game and what your thoughts are on it.
So it's I mean, it says not for resale, so I don't remember how these were handed out. But it pretty much is just a mini game compilation. Every time you complete a mini game successfully, you unlock the sometimes it's like a corresponding commercial, other times it's not. So not all of the commercials we watched are on here because obviously this kind of came out while they were producing some of the commercials, and some of the boring ones aren't on here. The final one's obviously not on here because he was alive.
Yeah.
But there's some really good ones. There's some really confusing ones, but you know, there's like you can't really see it here, but like a strength testing game. There was like a quiz, I think, that was really difficult to do because obviously you'd have to read Japanese. But then there were some fun ones like platformers and like karate, things like that. And then, you know, if you're just like, okay, so let me see here. There's a really good Christmas one where you're throwing presents. There's ones where you're like fighting guys in the desert. There's a DDR style one.
Yeah, and
there's the one
I heard this one that's like
where you smash the bricks.
I heard this one that's like columns. So the information I got out of it was that there was 10 mini games, and if you completed it, you would get a special message if you completed all of them, and a music video, which will be playing in the end of the episode to close it up. And I also, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say it came with this too. I don't know what it is for, but it's just like a card. You see that?
Yeah, I do see it.
And then on the back is like a signed message. So I don't know what this means, what this says, but what's really kind of, you know, like really shows you it was the end of an era is there's a Dreamcast
ad
inside a Saturn game.
It's the tombstone right there.
Like how
death.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, it is pretty crazy, but I guess Sega really wanted to move on to the Dreamcast. But yeah, they said that the game is actually developed by Ecol Software, and they're actually known for making one of the worst franchises of all times called Death Crimson. And the last time they've ever gotten a credit as a developer was in 2015 in that Genkai Bunko Fighting Climax game. They were They were like one of the many developers of it. They also Gamers Republic magazine gave the game a F rating, saying that the mini games were lame and you would only enjoy it if you cared about the character. Do you agree with that?
I disagree. I think it's a great game, and I think everyone should play it, and everyone should own a Sega Saturn to play it.
Oh yeah, that.
Don't you ever say that? Read that trash to me again.
I'll never.
That Gamers Republic trash. I think I have a few of their magazines. I'm gonna go burn them after we do this.
Thank you. During the SEGATA SANSHIRO craze, the theme song Sega Saturn Shiro with Satan Satan, which was written by Kuji Ando and composed by Fumio Okoi, and it was sang by. It actually wasn't sang by the actor, not in the commercials. It was by a guy named Mojo, who is a Japanese folk and anime song singer. But when they re-recorded the track and they did the music video, the actual actor of Sega SANSHIRO actually did re-recorded with his vocals instead. And that's the one we all know. Apparently he did a theme song for Kamen Rider 2, so he already knew how to sing. And he was proven not only a manly man, handsome man, violent man, father figure, but also a singer. Like, this guy does it all. He's also a Sega Saturn gamer.
Wow.
So as you saw and you just talked about, they gave you a Dreamcast sticker that was part of the advertisement for the Dreamcast. Woo! This is he actually, one of his last appearance was to basically hand over the reins to the Dreamcast. So it was kind of like a transition of power of marketing. I don't know if that even worked for the Dreamcast. I don't think it did, because I used to read a lot of articles saying that a lot of Japanese fans weren't happy with the fact that they were ending the Sega Saturn early. He also had a Fuji TV appearance in 1999. Let's talk about his other. Do you remember this? When SEGATA SANSHIRO appeared in Archie Sonic the Hedgehog comic number 269. Nice.
Yes.
He was fighting in a tournament which was based on Sonic the Fighters. What is your opinion on that cameo, at least? The Sonic one. It was short.
Well, it was a short cameo. I thought the whole arc was really cool. I think that's when Sonic comics were kind of at their peak, because they had done, I believe at this time they had done that light reboot. What issue? Yeah, 252 they did the reboot. And I always remember that, because remember the new 52 with DC?
From 2011.
With Sonic, they did the reboot with issue 252. So whenever I see that 52, I'm like, oh, that's the reboot issue, because 52 for some reason is a reboot number. But yeah, it was just an awesome inclusion of him. And then on top of that, to do like Sonic the Fighters, like sort of retelling. And then they had stuff tied in with, I believe, like Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog references and Sonic Adventure stuff. It was just like so many Easter eggs going on in those issues that I think anyone, even if you haven't read an issue of a Sonic comic, it's worth going back and just reading that for all the fan service. It's cool.
Yeah, and they also did the Mega Man and Sonic crossover during this time, so there was a lot of things going on during the Sonic verse in Archie. It's too bad. I mean, I understand they moved publishers. I would like to see IDW do more of this, like, callback, like tournament fighters, and like bringing back old characters that you're like, oh man, this thing has a bunch of Easter eggs. That's what I really liked about those Archie issues.
Absolutely.
In 2012, SEGATA. Well, first let's talk about the Renda Hero. He in the Renda Hero remake on the Xbox and PS2. SEGATA SANSHIRO actually teaches our hero moves. Here he is. You can see him if you're on the YouTube. Very low pixel density. Did you ever play Renda Hero #1 on the Xbox and or Dreamcast?
Yeah, I have the Dreamcast version, and I played up to the SEGATA part with a walkthrough. I've also played a lot of the original Mega Drive one through a hacked cartridge that has the English translation. So I see the part where he would come in the Mega Drive, but obviously it's like a different character, a different sort of situation.
A lot better with this.
But it's fun. It's even more fun and quirky to see him in there as your martial arts instructor, and it's like more than a cameo. It's like he becomes a character in the game, because of that. So it's a great way to use the character. I don't think you have it here, but the actor also played Ryo Hazuki's father.
Oh, I didn't put it on here, but yeah, that is true.
And he looks Iwao Hazuki looks like SEGATA.
He does.
a little
Yeah, he
bit.
does look like him a little bit, and that's 100% true. And he played the Japanese voice acting. And in this one right here, Ren Hero is kind of an interesting franchise because it never came out in America, and they made a remake of it after like a decade. And they also had a live performance in Japan a couple of years ago, which is weird, where there was like a stage play where everybody dressed up. So I don't know if he's that popular in Japan, but it seems so. I mean, popular
He was,
enough.
he was on the cover of Famitsu for the Mega Drive Mini release. So he's really, Rent-A-Hero is really seen as like the SEGATA of the Mega Drive. Like, people just love him as a character.
That surprised me. And
yeah.
we also had him in, obviously, Sega, one of our favorite games, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. He's in the background in Race of Ages track, depicting him in his final commercial where he was riding the rocket, making us think that he's still riding that rocket. What is your opinion on this track and this cameo? I know it was brief, and I know for a long time, Sumo Digital, the developer of this game, has been getting requests to make Sega SANSHIRO a racer, but they never did. This is the closest we have gotten so far. What's your opinion? And you think he would work as a racer?
I think he should have been a racer, but I think the track alone is really awesome. And I like the idea of him just kind of hanging out there, living there, riding his rocket around. There's so many references in that.
Oh, yeah.
I really love the Space Harrier dragon that shows up. I think that's really cool. Honestly, I need to go play that again. I haven't played that track in like probably 5 years. You know?
Same here. It's one of... You know what? I think Transforms might go out as being one of Sega's best crossover games. I'm hoping that it's not, and we get more in the future. But so far, this game is top tier. If you guys want to play a crossover game, for sure. The last cameo in a video game that he was in was Project X Zone 2, which featured like every single Namco, every single Sega. I guess not every single, because people will be like complaining, but a lot. And he's part of it. Obviously, his parts are very funny. The game is so... God, this game is so long. I haven't even beat it. Like, I gave up on it. What do you think about these games?
Yeah. I played Project Cross Zone 1 all the way through on my commutes. And I probably played like 25% of Project Cross Zone 2. I prefer 1 just in terms of... It's just easier to get through.
Yeah.
I think two's like such a slog. But the thing is 2 has, I think, better Sega character cameos. It's just a shame that I think Sega has the least representation in both games. And they also didn't really cater to an international audience. Like, they very clearly favored Japanese characters. I mean, sure, it's a Japanese game, but if you know you're localizing the sequel, like, throw in Sonic. Just put Sonic in there. I don't know why Sonic's not in there.
Yeah.
But, you know, for what it is, it's cool. You got the Virtua Fighter guys. You got SEGATA. You've got some Valkyria Chronicles characters that we've never seen before over here because they didn't release all the games. So
yeah,
whatever.
we also got some of the like most hated Shining characters on there, like the one for Feather that never came out here, and it's like, all right, who's picking these characters, and are these characters coming back? Like, I never saw another Shining game with the characters depicted in this game, so that was kind of strange, but it is what it is. And for a while, we thought Sega SANSHIRO would be dead. I know we've seen him in like having like performances at Sega Fest. I think he did like a concert before a few years ago, and then we got Go Sega's 60th anniversary. Sega's turning 60 this year in 2020, 1960 from 2020. So they were going to celebrate, and they have a new marketing gimmick, and they teased us with this image, and the internet went insane. Basically, it has if you're listening to the audio podcast, it has our karate judo guy who looks young, and it's just a shadow, and he's doing kind of like an Akira from Virtua Fighter stance. So this led to a lot of people believing that this was going to be a new Virtua Fighter game. What do you think about everybody hyping this as a Virtua Fighter game? I saw a bunch of big Twitch streamers going crazy about it, saying, "Oh, this is going to be Virtua Fighter, it's back." What do you think?
I mean, I kind of don't blame them. It's playing up the 6. It has a guy who what was weird though is he looked too thin to be a Virtua Fighter character, and it looked like a photo.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's where I was kind of like, I don't think this is him. And then when I heard that it was tied to the anniversary with the 6, I thought, oh, okay, they're doing a 60th thing. So maybe it's, I don't know, maybe they're gonna have like a guy dressed as Akira show up or something. But no, that wasn't the case at all.
Yeah, it wasn't the case at all. Actually, what it was is that SEGATA SANSHIRO's child, Sega Shiro, is taking over marketing. That was supposed to be the big surprise. Sega, I think this is kind of a blunder for Americans because I think a lot of people here believe that this might be Virtual Fighter. And this image is kind of misleading because he's not wearing the gi or this outfit at all in the ad that they showed at first. Yet. This is going to be a marketing campaign, meaning we're going to see a lot of ads. And I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing SEGATA SANSHIRO and his son, who the actor that plays here is his actual real life son. His name is Maito Fujioka, and I guess he's kind of like an idol, according to the ad at least. That's what they're making him seem. So I guess let's watch the ad, and then we'll discuss the kid here, his son. Let me get the ad going for us. Here we go.
タピオカの次に何が流行るか知ってる？チーズティー。バナナジュース。
Girls.
正解は
セガだよ
え？
セガだよ
ラグビーの次に流行るのってさ。
セガだよ
5G の次ってさ
Quick cuts are back.
令和の次は
セガだよ
じゃあセガの次は
セガだよ
セガって何？
His like dead eyes is my favorite part. He's like, look at his eyes. He's like death.
今こそあなたに知ってほしい
Uh-oh, that's the ad right there for the 60th Sega anniversary. The new name is obviously Sega Shiro because there's no Sega Saturn to sell anymore. So now they're just selling the brand of Sega. Do you think this is the right way to go for the 60th anniversary? And what do you kind of want to see from this campaign going forward? I know this is the first ad we're seeing. So I know they're trying to play him up as an idol and not a tough Chad like his dad. It's like a brand new take on it. He's an attractive man. He's the high schooler that all the girls want to be with. And he's a Sega fan. So what's your thoughts on that? And I guess we'll say after what I think.
I don't have an issue with him being in a different direction there, being a handsome high schooler. I like how he, unlike SEGATA, who is like doing a lot more like dancing like a dragon and like being romantic and stuff, this guy's just like hyper focused on saying his catchphrase and singing his song. And I think that's going to be the gimmick, is that he's kind of creepy because he just shows up and he'll just be like, Sega Shiro.
You think that's gonna catch on over there in Japan? Like kids just walking into classrooms going Sega Shiro.
I think as we see more ads, it's gonna become funnier. I know he's saying, so what he is saying is it's Sega.
Okay,
that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Which is the pun, I guess. Like saying that sounds like that, and I actually did. On April 1st, we didn't really have anything planned, so just for fun, I did like a quote-unquote like, oh, we gave him our Twitter account so he can post.
Yeah. And
so I just had him saying Sega Shiro, and someone was like, actually he's saying in the kanji katakana, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't reply because I just didn't care, but I'm like, I know what he's saying, but everyone, if we're an English-speaking Twitter account, I'm not going to show the Japanese pun because people are going to be like, why are you saying that? People know that SEGATA SANSHIRO sounds like he's saying SEGATA SANSHIRO. So I don't know.
So
I just was not in the mood.
So
I wasn't in the mood.
So far, this ad's only gotten 339,000. I don't know how Sega's ads usually do. I thought it was going to be 1 million right away when they announced it. I was like, oh, the idea of this whole marketing thing coming back is cool. You could tell that Sega in Japan understands that SEGATA SANSHIRO was their biggest marketing idea. That's why it's back. It's kind of like if we had our American version. Don't be surprised that we're going to see a lot of Sega Genesis style American ads during the 60th anniversary, if Sega of America actually celebrates it. I would like to see them go back and like have, I don't know, some sort of like storyline where they go through all the Sega games through the commercials. But I have a feeling that they're just going to like promote the current Sega games. So don't be surprised. I would love to see a Sakura. I mean, I know Sakura Wars already came out in Japan, too late. But if they do like a complete version or something this winter for Japan, if it's like him and his dad and the Sakura War actor as his mom in one commercial, that'd be sick. But they're already too late for that one, obviously. Outside of that, I would love to see them actually, spotlight some of their history, some of their big games, especially like their early games that like from the 60s, the early 60s Sega games that we've watched, like those like Periscope games, those mechanical games.
Right.
I would love to see videos on that on their YouTube channel. I don't think that's something we're going to see though, because I feel like those games were more American created compared to the Japanese branch. I feel like the Japanese branch really thinks they invented Sega, and before that it was just a company name that didn't, produce too much. I think they're going to focus on their Japanese IPs, obviously, but that's my thoughts.
Right.
Anything you want to see in the future of Sega Shiro?
Well, I think they probably want to do public appearances. I think should Tokyo Game Show happen this year, that they would want him to appear in some capacity, maybe appearing on a stage or appearing at the booth or doing giveaway items or something. So who knows if some of their campaign was deflated with a lot of the cancellations going on right now. I know, though, kind of unrelated, but like with the Tokyo Olympics being delayed, now Sega has 2 Olympic titles, one unreleased and one released, that they have another year's worth of promotion. So maybe we'll see. This should have been happening like concurrently with the Olympics and then carrying on, but now Sega Shiro is basically happening at the same time as the lead up to the Olympics. So maybe they can rework their campaign a little bit, work him into it, have him promoting the Olympics title, which would be kind of cool. I don't know. And
his father also said that he wants to be on screen with his kid. He said that he wanted to do a movie together. I could see them announcing some project now that he has like some face cred, right? Being a spokesperson for a company, like you said, is big in Japan. Don't be surprised if somebody tries to pick him up for a movie, maybe like an indie Japanese movie, and they both play a part of that movie. I just want to see them back on the ads together. That'd be sick. But that's all we have to say about SEGATA and SANSHIRO. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Do you have I didn't put the Patreon comments right here. Do you have them?
Did we tell people to make Patreon comments?
I think I did, yeah. But
okay, so as I open it, I'll say that if you are a supporter on Patreon, we will allow you to leave comments on what we will be covering eventually on Sega Talk. So we usually give you either from a week to a long weekend, and so let's see if it's kind of like fishing. Sometimes you throw it in, you reel it in, you're like, oh look, I got a big one. Other times we're like, what? No one wants to say anything about Vector Man, but it looks like our good old friend Nicholas Schaefer, he does have something to say. So what he had to say was, I don't know how, but I never saw the commercials of him. So imagine my surprise when Screw Attack announced that the fighter who would be a worthy opponent to the legendary Chuck Norris was a character from 90s Sega commercials for the Sega Saturn. I instantly did a deep dive on YouTube and have been a fan ever since. So, if you think we could have had more people leaving comments, then you're not supporting us on Patreon and getting your in there.
That's 100% true. And that's it for today's episode. We'll catch you guys next time on Sega Talk. Bye.
Bye.
真剣に取り組んでいるものがあるか命がけで打ち込んでいるものがあるかセガサターンしろ指が折れるまで指が折れるまで 刹那の快楽追い続けても虚しい余生が残るだけとことん極めぬ奴らには体に叩き込むぞセガタ三四郎セガタ三四郎セガサタンシロ青い大空白い浮雲真っ赤にたぎる遊びの地途中で投げ出す奴らには体で覚えさせるぞ